Can you guys type in the chat before we start? I just want to see if the chat. Is it showing the chat box? Because I can't see any chat.
So the chat box is visible to us. Are you able to see the comments? So I will read to you the comments if anyone is posting on the chat box. So we can start with the session. Okay.
Okay, let's start.
A very good afternoon to everyone. The Department of Management Studies IIT Delhi is an established name not only in the academic fraternity but also in the corporate world. It envisions contributing to India and the world through excellence in management, technical and research education to serve as a valuable resource for industry and the society. It gives us immense pleasure to welcome you all to Building India in 2022, the annual business summit organized by the Industry Interaction Committee. The Business Summit is an endeavor to connect academia, corporate, socio-economic sector, and the government in pursuit of advocating the great Indian growth and deliberating on challenges lying ahead. This year's theme revolves around revamping India and homage to the past, a stand for the present, and a dream for the future. Revamping India presents the opportunity to understand what India's development story should be. It isn't about making India the best in the global store and winning favors in the world. It is about becoming a preferred partner for the worldwide community, sharing knowledge and practicing cross-cultural collaboration with our neighbors while making progress in science and technology. Now let us welcome our Inspire 1.0 Speaker of the Day, Mr. Yogesh Chabria, founder of the Happier Way, who will be sharing his insights on the topic, how to convert challenges into a gift. Yogesh sir is the best-selling author and the founder of the Happier Way, a global initiative to help people discover their own inner greatness and lead fulfilling lives in all areas. His transformative programs and seminars have benefited leaders at Fortune 500 companies, IITs, members of the European Parliament, TEDx, Entrepreneurs Organization EO, members of the royal family, and people from all walks of life in over 100 countries, from students to billionaires. As part of IIC's Noble Initiative, we have planted a fruit-bearing plant at Sirsa, Haryana through Sankalptara Foundation to welcome Mr. Yogesh Chabria, who is like a fruit-bearing plant in the society and a born philanthropist who wants to make this world a better place. We are delighted to host you, sir. So you are on mute. We can't hear you.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. Can you hear me now, Shivangi?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nice seeing all of you and nice to see the plant that you planted. It's really nice being here. I've been to IIT Delhi several times. It's always nice meeting all of you and nice to see all of you in nice jackets and the guys with the ties. So today's session, we'll have a lot of fun because I believe you learn best when you're having fun, even when things are challenging. If you are in a playful mood, you have a lot of fun. But I want all of you to make a commitment, and the commitment is very simple. In today's session, in the next 50 minutes, 60 minutes, if there's something that I share that you don't like, which is very likely, you could say what Yogesh is speaking, it's absolutely crap, it's absolutely nonsense, just ignore it. You don't have to act on it, just ignore it. But at the same time, if there's something you feel that makes sense, it's nice, don't just say it's nice, commit to taking action. Is that a commitment I could have from all of you? Type yes in the chat. So I might not be able to see the chat directly, but through Shivangi and our friends, I'll be able to. So write yes, I commit. And there's a scientific reason for it, which I'll share with you. But just write, yes, I commit. If there's anything you like, if there's something you don't like, just ignore it. But if there's something you feel makes sense, don't just say it's nice. Say, yes, I commit. Is that something we could have? Shivangi could nod if she's getting commitments from people. Yeah, she's getting in commitments. Okay. I love seeing the names of people. So, I can see some of you. I can see Udhav. I can see Pulkit. I can see Kaustav. I can see Shivam. I can see Rangari. I hope I got that right. Uh, so, the reason for this is very simple. It's because, we have heard knowledge is power. We keep hearing that. Isn't that so? But at the same time, knowledge becomes power only when you take action on it. Only if you don't take action on it, it is just there. Right, today on the internet you have all the knowledge in the world, everything, you have all the knowledge, but only if you take action on it, it becomes real. We'll play a small game. Are you guys ready to play a small game? Okay. I can see most of you. I would like if all of you put on your camera, that way we can see everybody. Don't feel shy, even if you're in your t-shirts and you're not dressed in a nice suit like Pulkit or Kostav or Mansi. So, how many of you here know it's really good to exercise? Raise your hand. How many of you know it's good to exercise? Raise your hand. Yeah. You don't, yeah, Sachin, everybody, right? Everybody, yeah, I can see it. I can see a lot of hands raised, right? Everybody knows it's good to exercise. But how many of you exercise regularly? Keep your hands raised. Yeah. You saw that suddenly so many hands went down. So many hands went down. Everybody knows it's good to exercise, right? Everybody knows. Sagi, Sanan, Sanyam, Sheikh, Shilpa, everybody knows it's good to exercise. But yet, only around 20-30% of people exercise regularly. And this shows us that knowledge is there. We know everything. Today, whatever I'm going to share, probably you already know it. But what is important is to implement it. And once you implement it, it becomes fun, it becomes exciting, and it can change your life. Uh, I believe challenges are a beautiful gift. We had a small contest also. Many of you took part in the contest. We'll also announce the winner. Remind me to announce the winner. Remind me to announce the winner. I believe challenges are a beautiful gift. I've always believed challenges are a gift. And I'll share something from my own life story to help you understand this, to make it very simple. Uh, we belong to the Sindhi community. So my grandparents are from Sindh. Sindh currently today is in Pakistan. So before partition, they had a lot of material wealth. So they had houses, they had gold, they had horses, they had land, they had money, they had a lot of things. But overnight, partition happened. India and Pakistan became two countries. And overnight, they had to leave everything there and come to India and start afresh. So they left everything there. They couldn't carry anything. They just escaped. They took a ship. They landed here. So growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. And today, when I look back, I feel I'm lucky we didn't have a lot of money. And I'll explain it to you why. So growing up, we wouldn't take the auto. We would take the bus only if it's a 5-6 kilometer away walk. We would walk it up. If it's more than 6-7 kilometers, we would take the bus. And it's good because you build up your health if you walk. And I remember one thing very clearly. When I was 5 years old, my grandfather, my Dadaji, called me and he showed me two pictures. The first picture was of goddess Lakshmi. Who is goddess Lakshmi? Type it in the chat. She's the goddess of wealth. Yes, some of you got it. She's the goddess of wealth. And he says, Yogesh, what do you understand from this picture? I said, this is goddess Lakshmi. We pray to her. He said, no, there's something symbolic. I said, pata nahi Dadaji, पूजा करते लक्ष्मी जी की, दिवाली में लक्ष्मी पूजा करते, शायद हम सिंधी है और पूजा करते, maybe we are Sindhi, so we pray more to Lakshmi, we like money. But he said, no, there's something symbolic. I said, I don't know. Okay, no problem. Second picture he showed me was of goddess Saraswati. Who is goddess Saraswati? She's the goddess of, we type it in the chat. Yes, she's the goddess of knowledge, right? She's the goddess of knowledge. So he says, what do you understand from this picture? I said, this is the goddess of knowledge. If by mistake our foot touches the book, we respect, we apologize, but that's it. I don't know more. He said, no, there's something more. I said, I don't know, Dadaji. He said, if you look at a picture of Goddess Lakshmi, what does Lakshmi sit on? Can somebody tell me? Type it in the chat. What does Lakshmi sit on? She sits on a lotus. Exactly. She sits on a lotus. Goddess Lakshmi sits on a lotus. And my grandfather told me, if you have money, it's like a lotus. A lotus blooms in a marshy pond. If you have money, you can build a beautiful house, you can buy a beautiful car, you can shine, you can wear beautiful clothes, you will shine. But at the same time, a lotus is not stable. One wind comes, the lotus can overturn. One frog jumps on the lotus, it can go away. Look at what happened to us. We had so much money, but overnight, everything went. So, Lakshmi, material wealth is not stable. But if you look at the picture or the image, the traditional image of Goddess Saraswati, the traditional image, she sits on a rock. She sits on a rock, and that is symbolic. That means once you invest in knowledge and practical knowledge which you implement, he made this very clear. He said, Yogesh, practical knowledge which you implement, you can attract Lakshmi because knowledge is stable. And this is something today, all of you are at IIT, you're amongst the top universities in the world. But this thing that my grandfather shared with me is, if there's one thing you can take from today's session, is this. If you understand this, everything in your life will change. It's such a simple thing, but so powerful. If you understand the meaning of this, if you study, look at anything in the world today. You look at the metaverse, you look at anything, you look at unicorns, you look at yourself. The underlying asset is knowledge and practical knowledge. Today we are using Microsoft Teams. What is the asset of Microsoft Teams? It's knowledge. It's not the buildings they have, it's nothing, it's knowledge. And practical knowledge which helps us solve a problem. What's the problem? What's the challenge? You guys are in different places. Some of you are in Delhi, some of you are in outside India, all over. I'm in Mumbai, but we can meet, we can interact. And this is one thing that stayed with me. And I have faced a lot of challenges, and every challenge was a beautiful thing. And I'll tell you why. How many of you have heard of the resource curse? How many of you have heard of the resource curse? You could raise your hand. If any of you have heard of it. Anybody's heard of the resource curse? It's a very interesting thing. The resource curse means sometimes having resources is a curse. What do I mean by it? Look at countries which are facing massive poverty. So parts of Africa, parts of the Middle East, there's a lot of conflict. And those are the places which are blessed with a lot of resources. They are blessed with diamonds in Africa. How many of you have seen the movie Blood Diamond? Blood Diamond, raise your hand. Okay. So parts of Africa, parts of Middle East, they have natural resources. But when you have natural resources, what can happen? An enemy can come, kill everybody, take away the natural resources. But on the other hand, places which don't have a lot of natural resources. So you look at Japan after World War II, or Germany after World War II, or India. You look at a place like Hyderabad or Bangalore, or IT hubs, tech hubs, Gurgaon. You can't have somebody coming and invading that place because the resource is the human mind. What is the resource that we had or the Germans had or what we have in India today? It's the mind. It's our knowledge. So nobody can come and kill people and take away because they won't get anything. The resource curse means many times when people are blessed with resources, it's a curse. And that also happens with a lot of human beings. If you give a kid everything, the kid won't learn anything. If you give somebody everything, they won't become strong. How do you build your by letting them be weak or by challenging them? How do you build strength? By challenging them, by challenging yourself, by challenging your muscles. And similarly, I'll share something. So I was in India, I was born in the 80s. Most of you must be born in around 2000, 90s or 2000, I think. Looking at all of you, you're like young. So in 80s, India was very different. We were pro-socialism. We were a closed economy. We weren't an open economy. So to get a TV, you had to wait for a year. Now it sounds crazy, To get a TV, you have to wait for a year. To get a phone, a landline phone, you have to wait for 2 years. You had to also grease the palms of the people. You had to bribe people for a phone back in the day. if you want it earlier. You wouldn't get a VHS. VHS. How many of you know what's a VHS? Raise your hand. Type yes if you know what's a VHS. Anybody knows here what's a VHS? No, nobody. A VHS is a video player. Today we have Netflix. In those days we had video cassettes, VHS. Um, so you had all these challenges. You didn't get a lot of stuff, but at the same time, every time there's a challenge, there's a gift, there's an opportunity. If you think about it, and my dad used to be working, but my dad and my mom, they detected an opportunity. In the middle of this, they detected an opportunity. And what was the opportunity? The opportunity was they went to their neighbors. So my dad and mom went to people in the neighborhood and they said, "Aapko TV chahiye, aapko video VHS player chahiye. Do you want any of these things? Because we are going to Dubai and we can get it for you and you can get it immediately." And they loaded their markup. And of course, many people wanted it. So, my parents loaded their markups. They took the money from these people and so they had done a calculation, a very simple calculation. And, it's a monopoly, right? Very few people are offering it. So you can charge more. And with that money, they bought the ticket. They used to go to Dubai. So they used to also have a holiday. They used to have a good holiday and then come back and they used to bring all these things. There used to be Sony box TVs, wooden TVs. The TVs were wooden. Now these TVs might be in the museum because now you have these flat screen TVs, but you have these Sony box TVs. And I clearly remember you had a washing machine of Sanyo washing machine, and all these products they used to come, sell it. They had already pre-sold it. They had already pre-sold the stuff. But in addition to that, in their handbag, they used to bring stuff. So they used to bring Yardley powder. They used to bring Lux soap. They used to bring creams. And in our small apartment, I was given the task of putting a sticker and keeping these products on the bed. So I used to put the sticker, a markup. So there used to be a box of Yardley. I used to put a sticker, keep it on the bed. And all the neighbors would come and they would buy. And I was observing. I was enjoying it. And for me as a kid, they used to get remote controlled cars. How many of you have played with cars, remote controlled cars? Raise your hand. How many of you have played? You've played, yeah? Well, most of you might have played. Back in the day in India, we didn't have remote controlled cars. We used to have the guy used to sell only wooden toys. Lakdi ke khilone hote the. And in Bombay, in Mumbai, that time it was Bombay, we used to have bears walking down our road. The guy used to walk with a live bear. A live bear would perform. Can you believe that? Can you think of a live bear, a huge black bear walking down the streets of Bombay? There used to be bears, there used to be elephants, there used to be camels, there used to be monkeys. Monkeys would dance for entertainment. Today, kids go on YouTube. In those days, we would actually watch monkeys dance. So he would say, "Monkeys, have you seen the monkey dance?" No. In those days, that was the time in those days. And so my dad used to get, my mom and dad used to get these remote control cars, but this was with a wire. Now you have ones which are wireless, right? So I used to play, but after some time I would get bored. Right? We all get bored. Don't you guys get bored? You get a new phone, you get something new. After some time, don't you get bored? You want something new? Has it happened with you? Yeah, it happens with all of us. So I used to get bored, and okay. Once I got bored with it, I said, okay, what do I do next? So I went to one of my friends and I showed him the car. I said, "Hey, do you want to play with it?" He said, "Yeah, I would love to play." So he was playing. After 3-4 minutes, I took the car away from him. I said, there are lots of kids who want to play with it, but if you want this car, I'll sell it to you. I've test driven it. It works beautifully. But if you want it, I'll sell it to you. And, it was a monopoly business. So that guy, he said, "I have no money." I said, "Okay, you can figure out how to get it. Probably ask your mom or dad." So he ran to his mother, father. He says, "Mama, Papa, Yogesh ke paas ye gaadi hai. Yogesh has this car. I want it." And most kids love most parents love their kids. And, uh, his parents gave him the money and I made my first sale. I was 5 years old. I sold this toy car and I had a huge markup because it was a monopoly business. And I really enjoyed the process. I really enjoyed the process of selling for several reasons. The first reason was this guy was so happy. He was smiling, he was laughing, he was really so happy. He was enjoying playing with the car and I loved that. I felt that, if I can make people happy by selling, it's a beautiful feeling. The second thing is my age didn't matter. In sales, your age doesn't matter. Whether you're 5, whether you're 15, whether you're 25, whether you're 55, whether you're 95, whether you're 105, age doesn't matter. Your gender doesn't matter. Whether I'm a guy, whether I'm a girl, my gender didn't matter. My social standing didn't matter, My family's wealth didn't matter, whether I'm rich, whether I'm poor. Whether I have gone to IIT or I'm just in the first standard, it didn't matter. And that's the beauty of sales. You know, do you care whether the guy who founded, I don't know, Microsoft went to college or was a college dropout? No, we are still using Microsoft, right? It doesn't matter. And that was such a beautiful feeling. And another thing I found one fun was the results for now. I could see the results, right? I make a sale. When do I make the money? Now or tomorrow? Right now, and I enjoyed it. And since then, I've been selling. I believe selling is a beautiful gift. No matter what you do, if you can master the art of sales, your life will change. If you can, everybody has to sell, guys. Everybody. You want to get hired, you got to sell. You start a startup, you got to sell. You want to raise money, you got to sell. You want to get a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you got to sell that you're a good person. When I had to get married, I had to convince my wife's family. They are Punjabis. I had to convince I'm a good guy. I'm the best guy there is for your girl. There's nobody better. You got to sell all the time. And so those were my early understandings. And I believe these things wouldn't have happened if I didn't face challenging situations. Would I have been so eager to sell if I was born in a super rich family? No, I wouldn't. Only so every time if you change your attitude, every time you change, and you look at it as a game. If you look at life as a game, if you read the Gita, I love reading the Gita. It's a beautiful book. A large part of what Krishna is telling Arjuna is look at everything as a game. It's a play. Everything is a play. We are all, today you are a part of the seminar. After 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you'll graduate, you'll go to companies, you'll start your own companies. But it's all a game. At a time you were a kid, weren't you? So everything is like a game. So that was my first interactions with sales. So I tell everybody, especially then we shifted to Tehran. My family shifted to Tehran, and in school, teachers had two complaints, against me. Can anybody guess what the complaints were? Type it in the chat. We'll make Shivangi do the work. Shivangi will read out. What do you think were two complaints against me? All of you type it in the chat, and I request Shivangi to read out some of the comments coming in from you. Shivangi, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
And you can read the comments with the name. I want to know the name. So what do you think were two complaints that were coming against me? So read the name also. So say Aditya Kumar says this. Read some of the comments. Let's see how creative you guys at IIT Delhi are. Or is that
So we got a comment from Mansi, talkative maybe.
Talkative nature. Mansi is smart. That is one complaint. That is one complaint. What's the second complaint? Mansi is smart, right? That was one complaint. Yeah, talkative. Your son is very talkative. You guys are a good judge of character.
So there's a comment from Shivam, straightforward, and Priyam also says talkative.
Talkative. No, what was the other one? What does Shivam
Straightforward. Straightforward. Shivam said straightforward.
Straightforward will not be a complaint. No, why will a teacher complain to your mom? Your kid is straightforward. बहुत अच्छा है आपका सीधा साधा बच्चा है. Actually, I'm not at all straightforward. Do I look straightforward? No, that wasn't a complaint. Talkative, yes. What's the second guess?
There's also a comment from Sachin, trying to sell stuff to classmates.
I like that. Sachin got it right. Yeah. Thank you, Shivang. Sachin got it right. Thank you very much. These were exactly the two complaints. Your son is super talkative, and your son is always selling something in class. They called my mom. Your son is always selling something in class, and luckily for me, my mom said, "So what? That's a good thing, right? What's the problem?" And I'm so grateful to her because today, when I look back, those are two skills that have helped me immensely, and those are two skills everybody needs: the ability to communicate. The ability to communicate is a very powerful skill. If you master this skill, it will change your life. The ability to ask questions, the ability to have no fear, the ability to ask whatever you want to ask. If you don't know something, ask for it. If you want to move ahead, if you want an internship, if you want funding, the ability to reach out. And the second is the ability to sell. And I go to a lot of universities, schools, and I always tell teachers, you need to encourage these skills in students, in the youth, because these skills are powerful skills. I remember, I used to sell so many things in school, I used to love reading comics. I love reading, and till the 7th or 8th grade, I would just read comics. So my association with reading is a pleasure. Today also, I have so many books. I love reading. I have this device called the Kindle. You can see how battered it is because I've used it so much. And I'm constantly reading because I love reading. But till the 7th or 8th grade, I would just read comics. A lot of times people don't read because they associate reading with pain. They associate reading with boredom because they were forced to read things they didn't enjoy. So I remember I used to read a lot of comics: Superman, Spider-Man, Batman, Archie's, Amar Chitra Katha, and I got to learn so much. And one fine day, uh, in school, we used to, I used to sit on the back bench, and we used to have a book like that. And you know what would be inside the book? It would be a comic. We would be sitting and reading comics in the back bench, right? So now some of you guys might be having your Instagram in the book, but in those days we had comics. You might be sitting in the back bench, hiding and playing on Instagram or whatever, posting messages or whatever. So we used to do that. And one fine day, I was doing that. We used to smuggle comics in our backpack, and there was one guy. Uh, there was only one school which was in English, so lots of people would come there to that school in Iran. So there was one guy who was the son of the ambassador of Brunei. How many of you have heard of Brunei? Brunei, the country, Brunei. So at that time, it was the richest country. Yeah, Sachin's heard, many of you raised hands. Yeah. So he was the son of the ambassador of Brunei. And he had got a comic. And on that comic, there was a small sticker. And I observed the sticker. It was written 10 DHS. 10 DHS. And there was a picture of a small bird. Can somebody guess what's 10 DHS? 10 DHS. Any guesses? What do you think 10 DHS might be? DHS. Some of you might get it. Any guesses coming in, Shivangi? 10 DHS. There was a sticker, there was a small yellow bird drawn, and it was written 10 DHS. Any guesses coming in, Shivangi, or no?
Not yet, sir.
Not. I'll reveal the mystery to you. 10 DHS stands for 10 dirhams. DHS is dirhams, and that sticker of that bird is the duty-free sticker. Anybody who goes to Dubai duty-free, they have a sticker. And I observed that. I was probably 11 or 12 years old. And I used to, in Tehran, you don't get comics because they don't speak English, so you don't get a lot of English comics. I used to buy my comics in Mumbai, in Bombay, back in those days it was called Bombay, at the Radiwala by the kilo. Any of you have shopped at the Radiwala by the kilo? It's a beautiful experience. It's like 5 rupees or 10 rupees a kilo. So you can buy a kilo of comics for 10 rupees. You can go select second-hand comics, and I would love going there. I would pick up all the sorts of comics. And I did a mental calculation. 10 dirhams today is 200 rupees. If you convert 10 dirhams today is 200 rupees. One comic, and I was buying a kilo of comics at 10 rupees. A kilo of comics at 10 rupees, and one comic is 200 rupees. I had like a beautiful thought, I had a glow on my face. I felt happy, and I asked this guy, I asked this friend of mine, hey, would you like to have more comics? Would you like to have more comics? He said, yeah, I would love to have more comics. I said, I have a lot of comics. I'll sell it to you. So he says, how much would you sell it to me? Just off my head, I told him I'll sell it to you for 9 dirhams. You're buying it for 10. I'll give it to you cheaper, 9 dirhams. And in my head, I said 9 dirhams because I thought the guy will negotiate. You always quote higher, right? But this guy didn't negotiate at all. He didn't negotiate. He said, yeah, I would love to have it. And I started selling comics at 9 dirhams to this guy. This guy was a rich kid. His dad was rich. And it was a beautiful experience. After that day, I had an unlimited supply of comics because I could buy comics, read them, sell it. Read them, sell it. So I was having fun because I love reading. And I was also funding that, my addiction to comics. And I remember I was sharing this story once, and a professor from Harvard, this guy was he was attending one of our sessions, and he became super angry. He got up, he says, Yogesh, you are a profiteer. He says, Yogesh, you are a profiteer. I said, yeah, so what? I sell to make a profit, right? You got to sell to make a profit. What's the problem in that? But anyway, I had a lot of fun. And again, all this fun which I was having was a result of challenges that have come. All this fun that I was having was a result of the challenges that were coming. And that's the beauty of life. Only when you put yourself in challenging situations and when you're playful about it. Another thing, when you take too much, when you have a calm sense, when you're playful in your head, you can get out of trouble. You can get out of the situations because you can think clearly. Has it ever happened with you? How many of you have ever been in trouble? How many of you have ever been in trouble? Everybody's been in trouble. Okay. Shivangi, unmute yourself. Let's hear some of the troubles people have been in. Some of you raised. Can Mansi, can you unmute yourself? You raised your hand. I can see you. Mansi can unmute, I think. Mansi,
Sir, am I
and
audible?
you are audible. What sort of trouble were you in, and how did you get out of trouble?
So, sir, basically the first trouble, like there are various troubles, but one of the thing which I usually remember is like in the COVID scenario, I was working for a NGO, and that is Blood Connect Foundation, and during this pandemic, there was a huge shortage.
What is the name of the NGO?
It's Blood Connect Foundation.
Blood Foundation.
The Blood Connect Foundation.
You had also commented on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I have commented.
Share it.
Sure, I'll do it. So there was a huge crisis of blood donation and due to the pandemic situation. So at that time, it was very difficult for us to arrange the blood at the same time motivating our team as well. So that was the biggest challenge, the recent challenge I can remember.
How did you solve it? What did you do to solve it?
So we tried to make small teams and we focused on ad hoc team working and we tried to motivate our volunteers and then we initiated few drives for the same.
So were you able to collect the blood that was needed?
Yeah, we were able to do that.
Good. Give her a big hand, Mansi. Give Mansi a big hand. That's good. Yeah. Give a virtual hand if you can, you guys, or give a physical. Also, I think somebody else, once again, a gentleman in a very nice suit whose name is blocked because of the below Mansi. I can see him. His name is not showing fully because I have that banner in front of his name. What's your name? Abhay Arna? With A. Your name starts with A. You're wearing a nice suit. You're smiling right now. You have headphones. What's your name? Unmute yourself.
Arnav.
Arnav, yes.
This is Arnav. Yes, sir.
I like it.
Good afternoon,
Nice.
sir. Thank you, sir. So the traveling situation I was when in my job, in general, what happens is there are certain labor strikes that happens, like in rural sectors that happen. So yeah, so there was a particular labor who died in an accident, and then there were strikes. So, and the way to basically so there's a proper protocol that we have to follow, and that was the way. Like you have to contact the CEOs of that district and let your HR knows, and these are basically the things that we did.
What did you learn from this experience, Arnav?
So the first thing is you cannot go to a mob to settle down scores. Like the mob mentality is different when interacting. So the first thing first is like you got to save yourself, and then you basically keep your mind calm and then look for the protocol to go.
Thank you for sharing, Arnav. So, all these our friends, our friends at IIT, our colleagues, our fellow students, whatever they shared, every time you put yourself in a challenging situation, you learn more. And that is how humankind learns, that is how humankind grows. And also, when, it's a matter of perspective. The same thing, the same thing can be, oh my God, this is terrible. Or for somebody else, it can be, okay, how can I solve this? It can be a puzzle, it can be a game, it can be, creative. And, we all in life, who doesn't face challenges? Only somebody who's dead. A dead guy, a dead girl doesn't face any challenges, right? They just lie down, they're dead, right? So if you are alive and if you're not facing challenges, you're as good as dead. You have to challenge yourself every moment. Because if you don't challenge yourself, you will become lethargic, your mind won't be active, you won't have a zest to live. But every moment, if you challenge yourself, okay, how can I do this? How can I learn better? How can I grow more? How can I help more people? How can I have more impact? How can I make this world a better place? whatever you're doing, you will enjoy your life. You will grow more, and you will every moment, you can do it. I'll share uh, two stories. I'll share two stories from you with you. Uh, that why the external situations don't define our future. I'll share two stories with you. Uh, how many of you remember when the pandemic started? When was the first lockdown? When did it start? Type it out. Type it out. When did it start? Shivangi, can you read out when? Because I can't see the chat. Shivangi, can you read out what are they typing? When did the first lockdown start?
Yes, so March 2020. Rohit has typed in the chat box.
That's March 2020. And I clearly remember in March 2020, we had a beautiful session, a seminar planned in Singapore. We had 500 people coming from all over the world, from over 100 countries. We were coming in. We were going to meet, and I love meeting people. I love seeing them grow. And we were going to have a lot of fun. And suddenly, we get a beautiful love letter from the government. And the love letter states, not more than 4 people can meet, and you got to cancel everything. And my first reaction was anger, frustration, I wanted to blame somebody. How many of you felt something similar? Felt anger, felt frustration? I'm sure many of you might have felt it. And I wanted to blame. I was looking for somebody to blame. And I was in a state of mind that's not very positive. Because when you're in a state of anger, when you're in a state of frustration, you can't really think, you can't really do. But I was there for some time. But after some time, I decided that this is not something I want to do, because a smart person won't do something that's harming them. I said, no, this is not what I want to do. The first thing I have to do is understand what is happening. I know the governments were telling us 14 days this is going to be over. You have to hit those. What was it? Did you guys hit those? Those thalis? They were saying hit the thalis. They also made a song. How many of you remember the song? Go Corona, Go Corona. You remember that song? That was a song that made. But I feel, Corona misunderstood the song. Corona thought you're cheering it. It's like, go Corona, go, score the goal, go spread faster. They should have said stop Corona. But anyway, the song was a little misconstrued. Anyway, jokes apart. So I started, the first thing I did is, okay, I need to understand more. And I said, okay, when was throughout history? That's the beauty of history. Traditional education makes history very boring. They say memorize the date. Okay, but what's the use of memorizing the date? You can go on Google and get the date, right? In a second, you can get the date. But what can you learn from it? What can you learn from history? Okay. So I said, okay, let's go and learn. So I figured there was something known as the Spanish flu. And I started reading up on the Spanish flu, what happened around 100 years ago. And I started seeing images, I started reading the documentation, and there were kids who were wearing masks, there were people in masks, playgrounds were empty, and the Spanish flu lasted for 18 months. So in 18 months, it went away. And how did it go away? No vaccine came up. People with a good immunity survived, and people with a poor immunity passed away. That's it. So almost everybody got the virus. If you're strong, you survive. If you're weak, you die. 18 months, it was over. Right? I said, okay, irrespective of whether a vaccine comes or no, this probably will last 18 months. Probably, right? And 18 months is a very long period to be frustrated and do nothing. So I said, okay, what's the next thing I could do? And that's the beauty. Remember, you can always learn from people who have done it. You can always have role models. You can speed up your progress. If you want to move ahead fast, learn from somebody who's done it. Unless you are going to Mars, you are going to Jupiter, you're working on time travel. Unless you're doing it, even there, you can. If you want to go to Mars, why don't you find out somebody who's been to Moon? Probably you can learn from them. If you're working on time travel, why don't you figure out people who are experts at physics or whatever? So the next thing I did is I said, okay, who have been through something similar mentally? And I figured a guy who had been through something similar during the Nazi era. During Nazi Germany, he was a psychologist. And one fine day, he got picked up by the Nazis and he was put in concentration camp. And this person's name is Viktor Frankl. How many of you have heard of Viktor Frankl? Yeah, raise your hand. Yeah, many of you might have heard. And his book, some of you might be knowing his book. Type it. You know his book, Arnav? Share his book. Unmute yourself and tell which book.
Man's Search for Meaning.
Yes, Man's Search for Meaning. Exactly, Man's Search for Meaning. For those of our friends here who haven't read it, pick it up. It's a beautiful book. I picked up this book, Man's Search for Meaning, and I started reading. And that's the beauty, right? With books, you can connect with people. He might be no more physically, but you can access that person's knowledge. That's the beauty if you really go into a space of learning and growing. So I started reading this guy's story, Man's Search for Meaning. I read it before, but I wanted to read before. So what's this guy? He was a renowned psychologist. And one fine day, the Nazi soldiers come in, they pick him up, they take everything from him. He just has like a book, he has a book, and he says, "Don't take this book away. This is my life's work." He's written in it. And they said no, they take his book, they throw it away, and that's all his life's research work. And he goes to concentration camp. In concentration camp, he's stripped naked, they shave his hair off, he's sprayed with cold water, and they make him wear new clothes. They want to break his old identity. The reason they do this is they want to break his old identity. If I take Arnav and I remove his suit, shave off his hair, spray him with cold water, put him in prison clothes, they want to break his old identity. Right? Now, in concentration camp, he goes through the toughest time possible. He watches his loved ones being tortured. He watches his loved ones and friends being killed. He gets food once in 5 days. He works 18, 20 hours a day. 10 people sleep on a 4-foot bed. He says still we would fall asleep. He would get beaten up. He would get whipped. And life was tough. Life was very, very tough. But in the middle of all this, in the middle of all these things, he couldn't speak to his friends. He figured out something. He figured out something very, very powerful. And if you understand this, you yourself will have a realization. And what did he figure out? He figured out that all these guys, these guards, all these people, they can beat me, they can torture me, but they have absolutely no control over my mind. They have absolutely no control over what I think. And I am free to think what I want. They can't control that. Can you imagine how powerful this is? Can you imagine what this could do for your life? This guy was in concentration camp and he had this figuring out. And the second thing he figured out, he said, you can make out when a man or woman is going to die. When I say man, I mean both, man, woman, whatever, right? He said, you can make out when a man is going to die. When a man doesn't have something to look forward to, you can make out in the body language. He says, I could make out a person who could die, and that person would die in a week. The shoulders start drooping, the person starts looking downwards, that person doesn't have a zest to live, that person doesn't have something to look forward to. They're given up hope mentally, and once you give up hope mentally, you die. And at the same time, he said you could make out when a person is going to live. If somebody had something greater, a higher purpose, you want to share something with the world, a mother, a father, a lover, a wife, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a child, something you want to do, he said that person would survive because that person would fight to survive. And this fellow, Viktor Frankl, created a vision for himself. I want all of you to have a vision for your life, a greater vision, something that's beyond yourself, something that goes even beyond. And you will feel this thing coming from within you. If your vision is just to survive for yourself, you will not go all out. But if your vision is greater than yourself, you want to do something for your family, it will be greater. You want to do something for your community, greater. You want to do something for your country, even greater. You want to do something for humanity, even greater. And this guy had something he wanted to share with humanity, Viktor Frankl. And what was his vision? He created a vision. He says, I want to share my realization of concentration camp with the world. Whatever I have understood about human nature, about human psychology, I want to share it with the world. And he visualized. What was his visualization? His visualization was he is sharing his message with the world. He is giving a lecture to people. He is writing a book. He's helping people. People's lives are changing. Today, even after 60, 70 years, we are speaking about this guy. And when he created this vision, it helped him live. How did it help him live? There's something called as RAS. Remind me of the RAS. Okay? One fine day, he saw dead bodies being thrown out of concentration camp. People who die, they throw them in some wheelbarrows in trucks and throw them out. They put them in a truck and go and dump them outside. So he removed his clothes and he pretended to be dead and he went and lied down under the dead bodies. Can you imagine him lying? Can you imagine lying down under dead bodies? The smell of death, the smell of flesh, the smell of blood, and he couldn't make a sound. He had to do it. He had to do it. The bodies get picked up, they get thrown out. He hears, he observes, he waits for the guards to go. As soon as the guards go, he comes out. And I had tears in my eyes when I was reading this. It's dark. He comes out, he's alive, he breathes in the fresh air. He escapes, he gets a lift, he escapes the border, and he lands up in America. And he shares his story. And if you read this book, when I read this book, I was so grateful, firstly. I said, here I am complaining about the lockdown, and look what happened to this guy. I have everything here. I have access to the internet, I have access to food, I have access to water, I have access to books, I have access to my loved ones. I can do video calls with people who are not close. I can do so many things. So I changed my mindset. And from a mindset of, okay, why is this happening to me? I said, okay, how can I make the most of it? What can I do better? How can I impact more lives? How can I help more people? And because of a shift in mindset, we were able to shift everything we do online. We were able to come up with programs, courses, lots of things online, and we were able to impact a lot more people. We were able to help a lot more companies, a lot more individuals with our programs. And this all came with a shift in mindset. So today, when I look back, the pandemic was a beautiful blessing in disguise. It was a gift. And why was it a gift? Because I looked at it in a different attitude. And you can look at the same things, whatever is happening to you, with a different mindset, and everything will change. At the same time, there are people who are so blessed. How many of you know a First Man? How many of you have seen the movie First Man? First Man. Check it out. It's a good movie, First Man. It's about the first person who lands up on moon. Who's the first guy who lands up on moon? Shivangi, can you read it out? What are people saying? Who's the first guy who lands up on moon? Type it out, guys. And Shivangi will read. Shivangi is going to do the hard work of reading. Mute yourself, Shivangi. And can you please read what people are typing?
Yes, we are. There's no comment yet in the chat box. Yeah, we got it. Neil Armstrong. When you have written it.
I'm sure it's super simple. I'm sure at IIT Delhi you'll know. So it's Neil Armstrong. Absolutely, super simple. Right? Now, Neil Armstrong becomes the first person to go to moon. The reason America lands to moon is because they are in a race with Russia. They are in a race with Russia, and nobody's been to moon. And America lands up, first man on moon. And Neil Armstrong walks on moon. He comes back. Everybody loves him. Everybody, he's on TV. People are cheering for him. Women are going crazy for the guy. Everything, the guy is like living he's living a childhood dream. Every kid wants to become an astronaut. This guy becomes an astronaut. But what happens after that? It's interesting. Very few people know about this. What happens to the guy? Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, all these guys, 3 people go. The 2 of them, they become alcoholics, they become depressed, they lose their money. And you know why? Because they had a vision, they had a goal to go to moon, and they landed up in moon. But what happens the next day when they wake up? How do you top going to the moon? So they have nothing to look forward to. Every morning when Neil Armstrong wakes up, he has nothing to look forward to. He's already done it. What next? And because of that, because he didn't have a purpose, he didn't have a higher purpose, he gets lost. He doesn't know what to do, and when you don't know what to do, your energy goes towards things. In those days, if he had Netflix and social media, I think he would have gotten addicted to social media and Netflix instead of becoming an alcoholic. And this person, and a lot of people do this. I have a lot of people, I work with billionaires, CEOs. A lot of times I meet people who face this challenge, and there is a way to change it. It is, imagine if Neil Armstrong had made something else his purpose. His purpose would be, for example, to inspire children, to teach them about space, to solve so many challenges are there, to solve the challenge of hunger, to go to Mars, to do so many things. If that person's energy went somewhere else, that person wouldn't have gone in such a situation. So two people, Viktor Frankl, through concentration camp comes out much stronger. Neil Armstrong, guy goes to moon, gets all the fame and wealth, but see where he lands up. So it's not the external, it's you. You can change anything you want. And if you understand how human psychology works, if you understand how your mind works, if you go into the depths of it, it is a beautiful field. And the beauty of it is the more you know, the more you realize how little you know. I know very little. And I'm proud of that because once I say I know everything, I'll stop learning. I'm constantly learning. I told you to remind me of something. We'll play a game and then we'll do a Q&A. Anybody remembers what I told you to remind me of? Shivangi, unmute yourself. And anybody remembers what I told you to remind me? Yeah? You do remember? And get type it in the chat. Type it in the chat. Yeah, type it in the chat, guys. Type it in the chat. Shivangi can read for us. Shivangi is the chat to voice converter. Chat to voice, you have that text to voice converter. Type it in and Shivangi read.
So we have a comment. Winner of the contest, Arnav is saying that we have to remind you for that.
The contest, no, one more thing before contest, yes, the contest is there, but one more thing also. I told you about RAS. RAS, yes. Now we'll play a small game. RAS. What is the RAS? Okay, I'll tell you. We'll play a small game. Now look around you guys. Look for everything red. Look around you, your room, and count everything red. Look at all the things. Don't type it out. Just look around, observe everything red. Everything red. Look around you. All the red things. Observe it. Count it. Now close your eyes. All of you close your eyes. Quickly close your eyes. How many blue things can you remember? How many blue things you can remember? I bet you can remember no blue things because your mind was focused on red. Now, if you open your eyes, you can see all the blue. The red was also there, the blue was also there, both were there. But your mind was focused on the red, so you think of the red. And that's the interesting thing. This is called your reticular activating system. In your mind, you have something known as RAS. You get what you focus on. Because there are millions of things right now, there are millions of things. Your digestion is happening, you're breathing, there are particles touching your skin, you can feel air. But what you are focused on. And it's scientific. So if you focus on things you want, if you focus on possibility, if you focus on every challenge being a gift, you get that. But if you focus on, oh my God, life is so terrible, I can't do this, I'm bad, that's what you get. Has it happened to you? You want to buy a new cell phone, a new bike, a new handbag. You start looking at it everywhere. A new car. Suddenly you start. It's your RAS. It's focusing on that thing. So you can use your RAS to your advantage. I've broken this down in this book called Succeed the Happy Way, step by step. How can you use the RAS to your advantage? Check it out. It's a very powerful book. Get it. You will love it. You can implement all the strategies in the book. And we'll take some Q&A and then we'll also announce the contest winner. We'll also announce the contest winner. Who do you think is the winner of the contest? And let me read some of the things. We got a lot of comments. You could put in stuff in your chat also. We have a couple more minutes. Let's see. I'll read up the contest. Shivangi, can you unmute yourself and start reading what people are writing? And you could even put in your questions. So we have lots of people sharing all interesting things. We have got Ritika Singh, we have got Kaustab, Agarwal, we have got Udhav, Aurora. Let's see. We have got Rashmi Rangari. She says she faced challenges on the manufacturing plant and production floor. We have got Shivangi saying she's faced challenges. She was straight out of college in an uncertain market. We have got Shivam Agarwal. We have got Priyam. We have got Ritika. We have got Costa. You know who I am tempted to give the prize to? Any guesses? Who do you think I should give the prize to? Any guesses?
So we have comments from Shivam, Priyam, Manmohan, or Rakhi, Mansi. These are the guesses.
I think we should give it to Mansi. What do you guys feel? I think she did a good job. Would that be nice? Yeah, I think she did something really nice. And many times I feel when we go beyond ourselves, we learn a lot. Uh, During that time, also, a lot of people face challenges, and we all did something in our own small ways. I think let's give Mansi a big hand. I think just, you know, when you go out there, you help somebody, you learn so much, you learn leadership, and that's very important. So I think big hand to Mansi. Mansi, drop us an email so we can give you access. Our email is info@happyowner.com. Info@happyowner.com. I think Shivangi can also share it. And we'll give you access to Happy Owner sales secrets that can really help you further increase your influence, reach more people, and continue doing the great work you're doing. Great, guys. How was the session? Did you have a lot of fun? Did you enjoy it? Yeah? Okay. I had a lot of fun. But there is also a challenge that comes in because I've been doing this for so long. The challenge is you enjoy the thing now, but life takes on and you forget everything. It's a good session, you like things. So to continue this, make it a habit. Make this a habit. Make learning a habit and make taking action on a habit. A couple of things you could do. The first thing you could do is every day, at least 1 hour, feed your mind. Feed your mind. What do I mean by feed your mind? Get some books that help you, listen to audiobooks, enroll in some courses, attend sessions like that every day for 1 hour. Because if you do it for 1 hour, you're going to be ahead of 99% of the people. Because 99% of the people are not going to do it. Every day, 1 hour, feed your mind. 1 hour, feed your mind because it becomes a habit. Learning becomes a habit. And you can club it with something else. I love clubbing learning with physical stuff. So I'll listen to something on audio and go for a walk. Every morning, take care of your health. 1 hour, go for a walk, go for a run, go to the beach in Bombay if you are in Mumbai. Elsewhere, go to the garden, go to your roof, get some sunlight. Every day, if you do some small things, these are small things you do. Meditation, I love doing meditation. Some other time, I'll share some meditation techniques with you. Meditation helps you. Very powerful. Take care of your spirituality, of your inner calm. If you're calm inside, you can work better. You can function better. You can face challenges better. These are certain things you got to do. So make it a habit. Make it a habit. It could be, and the investments you make in these things are so huge. I read Viktor Frankl. How much did that book cost me? Maybe 500 rupees, 400 rupees, 600 rupees, whatever. But the learning you get from it is immense. So start doing this and access real world mentors. Access people who have done it. When I was in college, I would meet so many mentors. I would enroll in programs. I would enroll in courses. Many times I didn't have money. You could listen to my TED talk where I shared that. I didn't share it today. I would enroll and meet people who are doing it. So whatever I wanted to do, I would invest money there. Because that, in the beginning, investment in yourself will give you the maximum return. If you have 50,000 rupees or 20,000 rupees or 15,000 rupees, if you invest it in your learning, you will make much more. Even if you invest 10,000 or 15,000 rupees, and even on the stock market, you make 10% or 15%, it's 2,000 rupees. It won't change the quality of your life. But with that 15,000 rupees, you go and buy a book. You go and enroll in a program, in something practical. You learn much more. And with that skills, you can make much more. So thank you very much, guys. Any questions, or should we call it a weekend? Any questions from our friend?
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful insights. So this brings us to the end of an extremely insightful session, and we extend our heartfelt vote of thanks to the eminent speaker who graced the Inspire 1.0 session with their auspicious presence. We would like to present our heartfelt gratitude to Yogesh, sir, for sharing his insights and opinions on how to convert challenges into a gift. And I'm sure that the students have a lot of key takeaways from this session, and we really look forward to an engaging and a long-lasting relationship with you and your organization. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Now I can see the chat. In the end, I can see the chat. I can see the chat now. I don't know why now I can see the chat. Earlier I couldn't. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. Take care. You could connect with me on LinkedIn. If there's anything I could do to be of help, feel free to let me know. If you see me walking somewhere, come and say hi. I would be happy to say hi to you. And take care and best of luck and enjoy yourself, guys.
Thank you, sir. Thank you everyone for joining. And we have a 1 hour lunch break, after which you can join on at 2 p.m. for the Ideas Forum event.